So Connecting has invited Dan Thomas, who is Chief Communication Officer at the UN Global Compact, to talk to us about Sustainable Development Goals. Hi, Dan.
Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Can you talk to us about your involvement in Sustainable Development Goals?
Well, at the UN Global Compact, we're the world's largest corporate sustainability initiative, an initiative of the Secretary General to engage the private sector in conducting themselves with principles according to human rights, labor rights, protecting the environment, and anti-corruption. And at the same time, we are driving these companies that we work with, over 11,000 now, driving them to help achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. So we're really trying to harness the power of the private sector to be part of the solution and to achieve the 2030 agenda.
Okay. Could you tell us how, as individuals, we can prepare for the day after COVID-19 and how we can contribute to the SDGs?
Well, we believe that COVID-19, although it's been a massive shock to the whole world, to the systems that we operate in, it's affecting so many companies and so many people who work for those companies and so many of the customers and the people in the supply chains of those companies. It's been such a shock to the world and to the world's economy. But we believe it is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to recover stronger, to recover better, and to recover together. And so we seeing the glass as sort of, half full rather than half empty, we do see this as a major opportunity. It's shown us that we can adapt, we can change the way that we operate, change the way we work and behave, and the way we conduct our lives. And as a result, it's kind of opened, I think, all of our eyes to the fact that we are adaptable, we can change, and the Sustainable Development Goals are still the roadmap that can lead the world to a better place. And they are the roadmap to get us out of this mess that not just COVID-19 has created. That's a huge sort of global health crisis, but there's also the climate crisis, which is ongoing. We can't forget about that. We need to change so many things about the way we operate and the way we live and the way we conduct our business to address the climate crisis. And then, of course, there's an inequality crisis that the world is also facing, a crisis in terms of race and gender. And these are things that we know that we have to address. And so in some ways, this shock that the world has been forced into by this global pandemic, COVID-19, is in some ways a wake-up call and an opportunity to build back better and to recover stronger together.
Do you feel concerned about the situation post-COVID-19, about the poverty?
Yes, I mean it's going to affect so many millions of people. There are so many people who are informal workers who have lost their jobs. They're not. There's no safety net for those workers. They're employed often on a weekly or daily basis. And they have been dealt a terrible blow by the lockdowns that have come as a result of this pandemic, often having to face the choice of working or eating. And it's going to have catastrophic effects on so many people for such a long time. There's no getting around that. There's no sugarcoating that. We have to do everything we can to support those people in recovering from this shock. And of course, the sooner we can build our economies in a sustainable way, in a safe way, and find ways to continue to operate, to continue to do business, and to manufacture and supply and ship goods around the world, the better, because we've got to get the world's economy back on track. Because without the world's economy, none of these goals are going to be possible.
And do you think it is difficult for nonprofits actually to find funds to finance their actions because of the financial crisis that is going on.
Yeah, I mean, this is it's going to affect everybody negatively. What we have is a massive sort of loss of revenue for so many sectors, including the NGO sector, who in some ways is the sector that can really help the world's poorest people, the people in the most dire straits, to survive while the economy gets back on its feet and while governments, find ways to control this pandemic and to get people back to work as they want to get back to work. So there is going to be enormous fallout. The NGO sector is going to be absolutely critical in supporting so many people. And clearly we're all going to have to make sacrifices. We're all going to have to do what we can to keep people going, keep people alive, keep families together until we can get through this crisis. And that's an all of society initiative. We need governments and the private sector, NGOs, communities to work together to find a way through this crisis.
So regarding the private sector, what do you tell them when you talk to them about sustainable development goals and their possible involvement?
Well, we in terms of the crisis, we've actually taken a kind of back to basics approach. One of the things that we ask all the companies that are part of the UN Global Compact to do is to sign up to these 10 principles about protecting human rights and labor rights, protecting the environment, and not being corrupt. And those principles are as relevant today as they were when we were created 20 years ago. And in many ways, when things get really tough, when decisions get tough, when leaders really struggle, they need to go back to those principles and reflect on what those principles that they've signed up to say and how they need to conduct themselves based on a principle-driven approach. So it really does come down to principles at the end of the day. In terms of the Sustainable Development Goals, I mean, we do believe that the SDGs are the roadmap that the world already has. We had it, we've had them for 5 years. We had them before this crisis, and we have them for the next 10 years, the decade of action, as the Secretary General is calling it. And those goals, those 17 goals, still offer the best roadmap to get the world back on track and to create the world that we all want, ensuring that no one gets left behind. Clearly, the job is going to be even harder now because of these crises, the climate crisis, the inequality crisis, and specifically the COVID-19 crisis. But the goals and the targets to get us to those goals are still there, and they're still our best bet to get through this.
Did you have a look at the connected link that I sent you?
I think this is a great initiative, bringing people together, bringing the sector together to support our way out of this crisis, I think is a really important initiative. I think it is by working together and supporting each other that we can do that best. This is a time for partnership. This is a time to put rivalries aside. This is a time to put sort of higher purpose first and to put people first. And it's really, I think, in that spirit that you've created this great initiative. So thank you.